Welcome to this video. Today I want to talk with you about the problems with electric-only heat and some of the concerns as state governments are pushing towards that, and things to consider as a homeowner, some of the options that you can do in that way. As you saw in the opening there, it is currently minus 24 degrees here this morning. And we are in the process of building a new home. We're at the point where we're putting sheetrock up in, but we had to make a decision about how we were going to approach our HVAC system. And we wanted to take advantage of heat pumps and the benefit of that technology and what it provides, but we needed to account for the limitations of that technology. So for our specific home, we're using an air source heat pump, and air source heat pumps on the heating side work like reverse air conditioning. What they're able to do is they're able to extract the heat out of the air, and the difference between that and the temperature in the refrigerant lines that they run to the difference in that heat, or the delta, they're able to extract and then bring into the house and heat the home. And that technology has improved a lot. It's allowed for colder weather conditions to be able to still produce heat. But what happens is the efficiency of those systems drops as the temperature drops. So the way that they accomplish that really cold temps, how do you extract in freezing temperatures, is they use pressure in the refrigerant lines to change the temperature. So here we are, it's minus 24. It's not always minus 24, but it's also not uncommon for the temperatures to dip this low. The heat pump that we're putting in, although it operates in freezing temperatures, is going to have no efficiency at this temperature. So there's, in New York State where we live, there's a push in building codes to have everything go all electric. Well, what's the backup for the heat pump all electric when the temperatures are at this point and there's no efficiency left in the heat pump? What happens is they put in resistance heat coils. So in this point, your heating would come from these resistant heat coils, which is not an efficient form of the use of electricity. What we're doing in this project is we have a small propane furnace that is for the low temps that will kick in. So the way the system works is the thermostat and the programming talks to itself between the heat pump and the propane furnace. And when the heat pump isn't able to keep the house up to temp, the propane furnace will kick in. So on a day like today, this will be, the propane would be coming on to bring things up to temp. Now, what people will argue is, on the other side, they're saying, if we build houses that are more airtight and have better thermal insulation, then we can decrease the heating load overall, and then those systems can retain heat longer for that. And so they don't have as much of a need. So even if you are using electric resistance, then it can accommodate those conditions because of the efficiency of the building. And there's something to be said for that, but I think there's also the recognition of the vulnerability that puts both on the homeowner and then the overall system integrity, meaning the electric system integrity. Because now, on the coldest days of the year, a lot of people are having, or if you're not able to use a propane furnace like we are, a lot of people will be using electric heat to bring things up to temp. And it's a real problem. If you lose heat, you have really serious issues in cold. You have health concerns. You have pipes freezing and significant damage to buildings. And it's not there's a lot of real concern with it. So what's going to happen is, as if this all gets rolled out, the peak electric demand for the system is going to happen in the winter time as opposed to the summertime. Now the peak times are in summer on the hottest days when people are using all the air conditioning. But what will happen if all of this electric push goes through and they kind of ram this thing down is that it will create peak wintertime loads on a day like today where it's minus 24 degrees. And if you go a little bit further north from where I am, it's minus 40 in that way. And then the other thing is related to this, with older homes that aren't built to the same kind of uh, envelope from air and thermal, they don't have the capacity. Electric systems don't have the capacity if you don't have the right insulation to keep up to that. So there's a real vulnerability from a power grid standpoint to be able to handle that, because if we don't have the power to handle it, you get things like rolling blackouts, power outages, and what you don't want to have is a power outage when you have electric heat in minus 24 degree temperatures. So those are some thoughts of mine on it, and maybe some help for you in understanding these energy codes and some of the discussion that's happening about them, some of the arguments that people are making for them and against them. But something to be aware of if you're in the process of building your own home, something to be aware of from a public policy standpoint, and being able to be a little bit more informed if you're talking to government officials, people that are on these decision makers in those areas, and what you can advocate for. My personal belief about those things is that the development of these technologies is a good thing. The mandating of them is really counterproductive. I think you let the technology develop and let the adoption of it happen over time. We've gone from wood to coal to fuel oil to natural gas. There's been a progression, but that progression has worked in slowly over time. It's the kind of the government trying to accelerate the implementation of these things that I think is where we create lots of problems. And I think the rationale behind why they want to do it and the urgency that they feel related to it is not being. I don't think the evidence supports the urgency. I think the urgency is something beyond the evidence for those areas. So anyway, stay warm, and hopefully you got some more information about these areas. And if you like this one, hit the like button, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. See you next time.